their future, I really think they should have a pop at some of these foreign championships as well. Now we come up to the final heat race of the day. It's round 3, heat 5 in the British Rental Kart Championship. It's been an awfully long day. We've seen an immense amount of action, but there's still one race to come, the final piece of action of the day. And this race here, we've got the lineup, and gosh, there's some names in this that have really shown us some racing today. We've got Stephen Williams, we've got Mario Blanco Gonzales, Calum Conway, Dean Hale. Where did he come from this morning? We didn't even know his name this morning, and already he's won a race. Jamie Henderson, Lukas Englicky, Dan Truman, Phil Pryor, Chris Daines, and Mike Seabourne. So incredible final heat race for the day now. So, well, this one could be a stormer. I think you really got to be looking at the likes of maybe Chris Daines for the win, certainly Dean Hale for the win, Lukas Englicky there, he won earlier on, he could do it. Dan Truman's shown us he's fast over the many years. Mario Blanco Gonzales is doing better this year than what he's done before. There's a lot of people here. Calum Conway's been shown good. Jamie Henderson, of course, is doing well. He's a champion in his own right. Well, it's just across the board. So we'll see what happens at the end of qualifying. At the moment, it looks like provisional pole position for Lukas Englicky. Mario Blanco Gonzales come through to second. But the big names looking for Daines and Hale. Henderson into third. Jamie Henderson to third. Top in the list, though, is Dean Hale. And third is Chris Daines. So Dean Hale is going to start from the front in this one. And Lukas Englicky there in second, and Chris Daines in third. Gonzales fourth, Henderson fifth, Truman sixth, Pryor seventh, Conway 8th, Stephen Williams 9th, and Mike Seabourne bring them up in 10th place. So we'll see what happens in this race in just a moment. They're lining them up, bringing the pole sitter forward there. There's Dean Hale, there he is. Kind of gold and blue on the helmet from this sort of distance, blue suit, easy to recognise there. So let's have a look. Marshall's trying to get Daines through. Daines, of course, won the final qualifiers, so he's kind of at the back of that lineup there. And so Dean Hale is lining up on the pole position there. He's got Lukas Englicky behind him, and Chris Daines in third. Now, Chris Daines, always we see him do very well, but we're going to need to see him get a load of points in this race tonight. It's going to be very important for his championship challenge. As we get the final ones lined up. So Dean Hale will lead them round. We've got Dean Hale on pole position there, Spanners, from Lukas Englicky and Chris Daines. Now, the big question is, can Chris Daines turn this into a victory, though he's starting third? It's Dean Hale he's having to take on, Mike.
He had to qualify in a cold kart.
Yep.
He wasn't so happy about that, but he is such a good qualifier, isn't he?
He is. I mean, he's obviously really pulled it out the bag. If the kart was cold, then he'll feel at a disadvantage. Whether or not he is, it doesn't matter. He'll feel like it. Now, they're getting underway. It is Hale who's got the lead from Englicky, and Chris Daines is already getting pretty racy there in third place. What a lead now by Hale. That's about the biggest legit lead you could actually hope for. So a great start there by Hale. And Chris Daines, I think he's going to be in a bit of a hurry here. Already Englicky's getting a bit crossed up in the corners there. And Daines making a few bits of contact there. Totally unavoidable, of course. Down the back stretch, it is Dean Hale with about the biggest lead we've seen on the opening lap as they come through that final turn now, which is where Hale is. Hale leads across the line, and he's got a decent lead there over Lukas Englicky. Daines has dropped back a little bit there, Spanners, but surely he can come through back in contention with the second place driver.
Well, Daines always qualifies high. He does have a tendency to try and consolidate that place, so I think he will be looking to keep his place first, not do anything rash, not do anything silly. So Gonzales behind him was actually putting pressure on him down that first back straight, so he'll be aware of that. And in fact, now as well, he could have gone defensive. He hasn't too much. I don't think he's given up on Englicky.
No, and of course Gonzales, Mario Blanco Gonzales is under huge pressure from Jamie Henderson.
Yeah, contact from Henderson as well.
Yeah, Henderson was getting pretty racy back there with Gonzales. Henderson was obviously seeing a fair bit of clear air in front of Gonzales and wanted some of it, so he was getting pretty forceful. Dan Truman, of course, there is in sixth, so it means that anything that happens there, Truman could easily take advantage of. Chris Daines seems to have dropped back a little bit in reality. I mean, he's 2 seconds off the leader as we speak, only 2 laps in. There's Calum Conway with the white helmet with the Scottish flags on it, and well, there's Henderson on Blanco Gonzales. Blanco Gonzales with the black helmet there, who's trying to close in on Daines, but it has to be said that Henderson is definitely closer to Gonzales than Gonzales is on Daines, so it's a bit of a rearguard action. Obviously going to be speaking to Matt Barsh about that one. He's the one who wrote the textbook.
I won't be speaking to Matt Barsh for a little while. Maybe just let him sleep on that race and come back to it.
He'll be back in action tomorrow.
Barsh.
He won't worry at all.
But Henderson's being really aggressive, and I think that explains why Gonzales has dropped back a little bit.
Yeah, I think Gonzales had to be mindful. There's a bit of a gap opened up now. That gives us a chance to see whether Gonzales was really responding to pressure from Henderson, and that's why he slowed down getting defensive, or whether he was actually losing time to Daines regardless. So Gonzales has what could be considered a bit of breathing space to Henderson now. It's almost a second gap, so it doesn't get much bigger than that to, and considered safe. So Gonzales, can he close in on Daines? But more importantly, Daines is losing time every single lap to the leader, Dean Hale. Dean Hale is pretty much running away with this one. He's got over a second lead on Englicky and 2.3 on the third place, Daines already. We're talking Chris Daines. Possibly the driver with the biggest beard in racing is Chris Daines. He'll probably be poking out under the helmet there.
Some people have said that Chris Daines looks like a murderer. I think that's going too far.
I don't think he looks like a murderer. Well, when he was first here 2 years ago, I think I remember saying something along the lines of, he looks like someone who's he turned up for the cage fight and found it was actually the kart race taking place, so he gave it a go and threw himself into the final. So Chris Daines, he does have the impression of someone you might not want to spill the beer of, and he's actually one of these gentle giants, but certainly if he's following you, you're going to think twice, aren't you?
Across the road all day long.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
He does have his name on his race suit. Now I think if you have your name on your race suit, you have to finish 5th or higher.
Yeah.
There should be some kind of very punitive measure against you.
Okay.
It's like going to a rental car track and wearing your own race suit, isn't it? You've got to win.
Oh, you have to win.
Yeah.
If you're up against everyday punters.
Exactly.
I mean, of course, it's quite funny because a lot of times when people are watching this event, it does look like it's everyday punters, but every one of them, there's Calum Conway at the back, and he's a fantastic driver. Calum Conway we're talking about. You know, he won the rookie award in the 24-hour race, the British 24-hour last year, so he's someone with serious credentials behind him, and there he's running 10.
Oh.
So
I didn't realise we had a missed apex there as well. Stephen Williams, part of our editorial staff, so cheering him on.
Well, he's running in 8th place at the moment, Stephen Williams, and
3 years ago he couldn't drive a kart at all, and he's come on. He's been doing kart.
Yeah, I was going to say he's a regular with kart sport, is Williams.
Oh, he's quick now. I beat him at the Missed Apex live karting event because he couldn't keep it pointing forwards, but he is definitely quick, and but in this field, doesn't look so quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it does seem as though Lukas Englicky is wearing very much, as he's in the British Championship, a British tribute helmet. Obviously his name is Englicky, which I'm actually starting to think in Czech could well mean English. So, because if you look on his helmet, he's got like a roundel on one side and it says Englishman in big letters down the other. So we might have to have a little chat with him at some point during the weekend and see if that is a kind of a tribute helmet, given the championship he's in this weekend. He's running 2nd place, 1.4 seconds behind the leader as we speak.
Let's solve that mystery. Stephen Williams looks like the driver actually under the most pressure apart from Daines. Daines coming under heavy pressure from Gonzales again, who seems to have thrown off the threat from Henderson and is now looking very much Danewards.
Yeah, and Gonzales is definitely closed in on Daines there. Daines has been looking over his shoulder. I mean, look, we can see on screen. Gonzales is right on the tail of Daines. It's Daines with the orangey helmet at the front and completely black for Gonzales. And here is Daines and here is Gonzales. That's the gap we're talking about. It's visual. Gonzales has closed it right up, and can Mario Blanco Gonzales actually take Daines for position? To be honest with you, the way Daines has been driving the last couple of years, that would be quite something for Mario Blanco Gonzales to talk about.
Daines has been a defensive master, as far as I've seen.
He's also been the anger master as well, hasn't he? Because he's put in some very solid, fair, but about as robust moves as he can get while keeping fair. He's a strong competitor, is Daines. You can never rule him out.
Racing, and you can bet your life horrible git.
Is that right? Yeah. Certainly, Mario Blanco Gonzales is, if he does pass Daines, he's going to do it with a move that's going to be worth remembering and using on other people during the weekend. So there's Daines, there's Blanco Gonzales, and following them is Jamie Henderson. That's the third, fourth and fifth. Down the back straight, there's Daines continuing in third place. Mario Blanco Gonzales is definitely up there with Daines more than he is worried about Henderson. Henderson does appear to be closing in on the pair of them, even though there's no obvious reason why Daines or Gonzales would be losing time, I don't think, Spanners, because they're not exactly fighting in a time-losing way, are they? I think it's just in certain areas Henderson has actually got the measure of them.
Just looking down at the pits, and Seabourne, who was stuck behind Williams, is getting out of his cart.
Oh my
goodness. This looks like it might be a cart swap because he's taking his ballast out. So unfortunate there for Seabourne.
Yeah, there's Mike Seabourne there. He was the Castle Coombe champion last year, Castle Coombe karting champion. And, well, that's terrible bad luck if he's having to park. In fact, he's actually... he's calling it quits, so obviously he feels that he's not going to gain anything by jumping in another cart. And it looks like he's calling it quits from the event, or from this particular heat race. He's going to be back in action tomorrow. So Mike Seabourne there is retiring from this particular race. Now that does give everybody else one position up who might have been ahead of him. So Calum Conway, whatever happens, is not going to be worse than ninth, put it that way. Nor is Steve Williams, who's in eighth as we speak.
Oh, look at that.
Yes!
That was a brave move from Gonzales.
He had to back out, but in the pits at the 20, Jamie Henderson. Now, there's interesting for you.
So actually, the two ahead of him, Gonzales and Daines, do need to look out for Henderson, because if they are tripping over each other, Henderson has been lurking. Exactly.
Jamie Henderson, the SG Pets champion in 2018, is showing good speed, and I think that, well, he's shown that he can stay with these guys, and if he's running completely on his own, the question is, can he actually try to leap?
Daines is in.
Daines is in. Chris Daines pits from third.
That's a good pit stop.
He's got a green light on the first one. What's going to happen on this second one? It's going to have to be fast. Oh, it's a very good
stop.
He's shaking his head, but it didn't look bad, to be honest.
I don't see what he could be unhappy with there. It looked fine.
He shouldn't be unhappy at all. It's just over 10 seconds. That is one of the better pit stops that we've seen. I mean, when he's doing it, it's always going to feel bad, isn't it, Spanners? He's stopped. What racer likes to be stopped?
No, exactly. But he's come out in a gap ahead of Henderson that suggests he's done at least as good a stop as Henderson did.
Yeah, and that's key, because if Henderson pitted before the two in front of him with the intention of leapfrogging them, it also required not only some fast laps but a better pit stop, and Daines has just negated that with an absolute flyer of just over 10 seconds in the pits, so well done indeed. Now there's the leader, that's Dean Hale. He's come from absolutely nowhere today. He of course is the Formula TKM Festival winner of 2018, so he's got that in the bag, and he races Formula TKM and the X30s out on the regular outdoor tracks. Now that doesn't necessarily make him a brilliant indoor karter. It doesn't necessarily translate across, but Dean Hale's showing that in his case it definitely does. He's got a 1 second lead over the man we can see following him, and that is the Czech Republic driver Lukas Englicky. And Lukas Englicky, of course, is the champion of Czech Republic last year, so he really is, you know, he's a tough one, and he is also a World Championship competitor, World Indoor Championship competitor as well. So, well, this is really good showing by Dean Hale, because just because he can win the Formula TKM, he's up against someone who can also compete at world level in indoor karting, and so he's showing very well against Lukas Englicky, who is actually closing in on the race leader, it has to be said, Stan.
Yeah, and Daines is definitely maintaining that gap to Henderson. I'm just trying to have a look at what Gonzales is doing and whether he's on his own. Have you spotted him out on track?
Well, Gonzales is running third at the moment. He's 7 seconds behind the actual first place of Dean Hale. He's obviously waiting to pit. We've got Chris Daines now. Chris Daines really needs to be within 10 seconds of him, and is he? Chris Daines is exactly 10 seconds off him, literally exactly 10 seconds. Gonzales lost 3/10 to the leader there, but it's really about what's happening with Daines. So I can't see Gonzales threatening the leader, but I can see him getting in the battle with Daines.
Yeah.
Gonzales is going to have to make a very good pit stop if he's going to try and leapfrog Daines. He is actually slightly, by the 10th, increasing that gap over Daines per lap. So I think we'll see Gonzales best staying out for a little bit longer, see if he can edge that to a secure pit exit without a fight with Daines. Spanners, whatever happens, I think it's going to be tough down there when Gonzales makes a pit stop with reference Daines and Henderson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where. I'm trying to find him on track. Where is Gonzales on track now? Let's try and see it visually. So he's just coming down the back straight.
If we look at window here.
Oh, here he is. Just crossing the start-finish line now.
No, Gonzales got a black helmet. He's down the backstretch. There is the end of the backstretch. So that is Gonzales down the backstretch, and we're looking at now possibly 10.1 seconds between him and Daines, who has pitted. So Gonzales crossed the line, 7.7 behind the leader. Now what's Daines going to do? Here comes Daines now. And as Daines crosses the line, Daines is 7.8, so it's still 10.1 seconds between Gonzales and Daines, and that will probably be Daines. It'd be likely Daines coming out and leapfrogging him, but just. In other words, it would put Gonzales right in his tail when they reach the dodgy bit.
Which is how it was.
Exactly how it was, isn't it? Yeah. So really, Gonzales needs to find a little bit of pace. He's got 7 minutes to go. If he wants to beat Daines, he really needs to find a tenth of a second if he can per lap and give it about 5 laps, which would mean that he was pitting quite late, but still with plenty of time. And I think that's the closest he's going to get to any safety, because there's not enough between them.
But the battle up front is still very much on as well.
It's very much on. I mean, look at them. They're trading lap times. They're within the tenth of a second of each other. One goes fastest, the other goes fastest. They're both on 32.7, and no one else is in the 32s. So these two are absolutely flying. We can see them on screen now. It's Dean Hale and Lukas Englicky there. There's Hale with the multicoloured helmet, and Englicky predominantly white. As I say, the British Randall on one side and Englishman on the other. So I'm wondering if in Czech, Englicky actually means English. So maybe he's got some kind of English rootage somewhere. He's actually from Prague. He's flown over for this event, and so he's. But he is a champion over there in the Czech Republic with the Sodi karts, and also a World Championship competitor, is English.
I absolutely love the international feel of this event with all our European friends and neighbours.
It's rammed, isn't it? It's absolutely rammed.
It's been fantastic.
It is a little bit like the World Championship, but with half the entry. The World Championship involves about 200 drivers, and obviously the British Rental Championship involves 100. Most of the national championships are that smaller one weekend. The World Championship, of course, with so many drivers, is a week-long affair. But it's pretty much the same people doing most of the events. You go and race in the Polish Championship, the German Championship, the Dutch Championship, the Belgian Championship, you're going to be up against Ruben Boutins and Greg Laporte and Lukas Englicky and all of these names that we're seeing from abroad. Of course, when you think about it, to get here, Lukas Englicky has actually travelled across all of those countries, so he might as well do their championships on the way, if you like.
Do you see Englicky making a move here on Hale?
Yes.
I get the feeling that gap is slightly closing, edging, but Hale is genuinely holding a gap. It's not like they're bumper to bumper.
It's getting closed down all the time. It's actually 0.6 of a second. The question is, though, will he do it with enough time to find an edge on Hale? Hale is not doing anything wrong. He's doing everything right. The only thing that would make me think the game was on was because Lukas Englicky has a lot of experience at world level of this very racing. Dean Hale, of course, is more known as an outdoor man. He's got the results that say he can do it, but Englicky is the one who's done it in this format, should I say. So it doesn't give him much of an advantage, but it's only slight. And now it looks even closer. We are still listed as 0.6 per second, but that looks a bit closer than 0.6 to me. Spanners, I mean, they're practically nose to tail now. It's only, what, 3 kart lengths. There's Hale, you see in the blue. We're looking at now on screen, and there's Englicky, and Englicky has been pulling that down. 4 3/4 minutes to go, though, and that might be Hale's saving grace. Englicky simply running out of time.
James, is it my imagination, but as round 3 has dawned, we're seeing slightly more aggressive moves from the drivers. We are now getting into the business end of this competition.
You're absolutely right. Standard Brkc fare, to be honest. The best part of the British Rental Car Championship is right here on Saturday evening. This is when we see people who are, because you see we're in the 3rd round now. Some people have lost points and they know they've got to make up for it. There's time to do things, so it's not over. It's not like the 4th thing, oh, I've got no chance. It's still on, but only if you do something. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. It does tend to get at its sort of, shall we say, most boiling point, you know, closest to boiling point here, and sometimes it does kick off. We have seen that in the past, and that is why we're probably more likely to get some, you know, the bad passes occurring now, which is what we've been seeing, because people actually have to really try with a few liberties. The trouble is, of course, is that they're all so good that by and large they cancel each other out. even someone running, you know, right at the tail of the field is someone very good under normal circumstances. So, you know, they will cancel each other out. Now it does look like, yeah, here's Englicky in the pits. So Englicky has come in. Its first stop is good. Now he needs this to be very good. His only real chance of making up real ground on Hale is to do it in the pits. Let's have a look at the time.
It looks fine.
Oh, it's fine. It's very, very good indeed, actually. That was the kind of pit stop he wants. He's just over 10 seconds. So the pressure is now on Hale to match that pit stop. They were very close. Hale has got that half second in hand, if you like. So Hale's got, well, how do you even measure that when you're doing it? It's not going to seem like much half a second when you stop. In comes Hale. Hale is pitting. Now this is crucial for Hale. He has to make this very good indeed. He's looking good so far. He's green and he's on the throttle, so he's doing everything right. He's doing it all right. He's flipping the throttle there. Yes, it's green. Now this could be it. This could be the lead for Hale. Yes, it is. He's come out with a comfortable lead. And in the pits also is Gonzales from third.
He stopped very close to the lights there. I don't think he's got everything out of it, and he's not going to do enough to get past Daines. Daines goes through into third.
Now what was interesting there was Hale's stop was a little bit slow, and the 19 car comes in. That's Phil Pryor. Phil Pryor made his stop there, all making him quite late. But look, Englicky is very, very close to Hale. Now the thing is that Hale took slightly longer over the pit stop. It was still a very good one. It had just been such a stormer by Englicky. Now Englicky has 2 minutes left. He's now in contact with the leader, and this is the sort of distance by which he can start making moves potentially. 1 car gap. But, you know, when you're dealing with the calibre of Dean Hale, maybe you need more than 2 minutes to work things out. You know, it could well be that Englicky has got to the back of Hale with just not enough time to spare. They are going to be coming up to a back marker there. Haven't quite identified who it is. It looks like it's going to be Calum Conway.
Well, Hale's gone defensive and down the back
No,
straight.
it's not Conway, it's the 18, it's Williams.
Oh, go on, Missed Apex, go on, get in the fight, keep up with them. But Hale, for the first time down that back straight, was defensive. So now we're really getting to the business end.
And Williams lets them both through.
He's conceded
Hale
easily.
shoots through, and so does Englicky. Englicky knows he can't give anything away. There's only a minute and a half remaining now in this race. As Hale continues round, it's going to be a spectacular victory for him. And I believe he won earlier on, didn't he? Or, yes, he did. He won the first heat. It was an amazing result there by Hale. This is an amazing debut by the British driver, and he's fighting off Englicky, and they've surely only got about 1 lap to go now. And Hale continues round. We can see on screen he's crossing the line, coming up towards the new section there. He's opened up a little bit of a gap. Surely Lukas Englicky there is having to stick to second place. There's only 1 lap really to go. Yeah, they're going to be bringing the flag out, I'm sure, at the end of this one, as Hale now comes onto the backstretch, potentially for the last time. And there is Lukas Englicky there, and the gap is bigger than it has been. It's almost a second. Englicky settled for second. He knows he's got some great results in the bag. He doesn't need to force things. And here comes Hale. Are they bringing out the flag this time? Yes, they are. Hale takes it. A second win for Hale. What a performance by this driver here. He's won in Formula TKM, but it's outdoor. He's transferred to the indoor championships, and he's got 2 wins in the bag already. And he's looking very good for a place, at least in the semi-final. If he does very well, obviously that might translate to final. He's got the thumbs up there to Lukas Englicky. He knows what kind of fight he's had. It's been a tough cat and mouse race between these two as they come back around. Chris Daines has managed to maintain third from Gonzales fourth, with Jamie Henderson in fifth place there for Henderson. Phil Pryor in sixth. Dan Truman came through to a fairly quiet 7th place on that one. Calum Conway 8th, Stephen Williams 9th, and the retirement there by Mike Seabourne relegates him to 10th. So a cracking show there by Dean Hale. And as they're getting out of the carts, Spanners is going to catch him in the pit lane there. So we'll see what they end up saying to Spanners.
Can you tell them I have Dean? I've got BRKC rookie Dean Hale. How are you finding it? Not bad, eh?
Yeah, it's good fun. It's quite hard work out there, getting some overtakes and stuff, but no, I'm enjoying it.
Now, you had a world-class driver behind you, Englicky, putting a lot of pressure on you, but it did look like you had the genuine raw pace to keep a gap. You didn't go defensive until the very last few laps.
Yeah, it felt like I could just maintain the 32.9s, which, you know, seems to be quite quick. So, luckily, you know, it's quite hard to catch when you're doing that every lap. So,
have you got a prediction for how you think you'll end up in the table?
Well, I turned up hoping for top 50, so anything better than that, and I'm happy.
Fantastic. Dean Hale, race winner at Brkc. Thank you very much. Back up to you, James.
Okay then, so that wraps up the evening here at Formula Fast in Milton Keynes. The British Rental Car Championship is arguably tougher than ever. We've seen some horrifyingly close race results and some sterling performances across the board. We're going to be back in the morning from about 8 o'clock in the morning there, so if you've been following the championship, it resumes at 8 o'clock in the morning with heat race 6 of this third round, and then of course we'll be going through the fourth round and the semi-finals, and the final we're expecting around about 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So you know, there's going to be racing all day tomorrow as well. Please, join us for that. It's been a real pleasure bringing this championship to you. We've had a lot to talk about, and it's only going to continue tomorrow. So from Milton Keynes, I'm James Auld, commentator for the BRKC, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.